I want to look at an aspect of filmmaking now that is both creative and/or a way of rescuing less than perfect raw videos brought into a project. I'll spend the next few tutorials looking at using effects, both video and audio, to either be creative or, as I say, to rescue footage that isn't quite perfect. We'll start here though by looking at how we find video effects. You'll remember in the last tutorial at the end of the last section that we were working on this particular clip. It's quite suitable in that it looks atmospheric with that sunset there, or a sunrise, dependent on the backing track that we use with it. That said, it is quite dark. Not much happens even if I flick right through the timeline, looking at different times. So what can I do about this? Well, all is not lost. We can use the video effects that are built into Premiere Pro to try and do something with this, either creatively or to rescue it. Or perhaps not rescue it, but enhance it. Now, to be able to utilize your effects, you need to look down at your project panel, although at this screen size we can't see the particular panel that we are looking for. So you'll have to use what you can just about see there, which is that horizontal drag slider. Left click on it and drag it to the right until the Effects tab comes into view. There it is, I'll select it. And now within here we see these 5 subcategories: presets, audio effects, audio transitions, video effects and transitions, and the Lumetri Lux at the bottom. I'm not going to go through all the different effects available, although in the next tutorial I will be trying some out. But for the moment, let's just open up presets here and see what's inside. As you can see, there's quite a number of subcategories: bevel edges, blurs, mosaics, pips, etc. Pip standing for picture in picture. Let's imagine I want to be creative first of all. I'll open up the Solarizes panel, and there you'll see I've got 2 options: Solarize in or Solarize out. Well, the way that we apply an effect is by selecting it here, left-clicking and dragging and dropping on the clip itself on the timeline. Don't do it in the program panel, do it down here. As soon as you do disengage, then there you'll see that that particular effect, Solarize in, has now been applied to our video clip. Okay, so that's what you can do if you want to be creative with one of these presets. Now I want to undo that, so I'll run up to Edit and hit Undo. Let's try something else. I'll open up this pips category, and then within there, this 25% pips. Now what pips is picture in picture, as I mentioned a moment ago. This means that whatever you apply this effect to will be shrunk, in this case, to 25% of its size. I'll show you what I mean. If I open up this subcategory, I see more subcategories, so I'll just grab one of these at random. This one will do. I'll left click and drag and drop onto our video clip on video track 1. And there you'll see now that our video clip has been shrunk in size to 25% of its original size. This will mean if we had another video clip on video track 2, then the video on video track 2 would obscure video track 1, so what we would need to do is move this video track onto video track 2 and use a different video to be below it in the stacking order on video track 1. We'll see more on this as we progress. I'm simply showing you how this works for the moment. Anyway, let's undo that. Edit and then undo. Okay, so that's the presets category. I'll leave the audio effects and transitions for the moment, and we'll work our way down to where it says video effects and video transitions. I'll open up the video effects category because, as I said at the beginning of this tutorial, you might be inclined to thinking that this clip is quite dark, and this needs rectifying to bring out the detail, certainly in the foreground, where we can just about pick out a little sailboat. Well, within my video effects category, I can open up the adjust category so that we can see all these different effects within here. Now I'm going to go for the bottom one, shadow stroke highlight. This works in a very similar way to the similar plugin within Adobe's Photoshop. I'll show you what I mean. I'll left click on it and then drag and drop down onto the timeline, onto that clip on video track 1. And there you'll see now in my program monitor that the whole scene has been brightened up. We still retain the atmosphere of the sunrise or sunset, call it what you will, but now we are able to pick out more of the detail in the foreground. We'll go about adjusting this in more detail later. For the moment I'll edit and undo once more, because I want to show you a similar effect, this one here, levels. I'll left click and drag this one over and place it on our clip, but now you'll be forgiven for thinking, well, it's not done anything. Well, that's because we have to now manually adjust the different parameters that this levels effect has on offer. And to be able to do this, we need to come up here and open up the Effect Controls panel. And now you'll see we've got a new category below our video effects. This one here called Levels, because that's the particular effect we've just brought in. Once more, I'm not going to go through all this at the moment, but for the moment it's enough to know to be able to adjust any of these. Well, what you could do is left click on one of these numbers, this one for example, and drag to the right to increase its value, and we'll see there now in the program monitor how this affects our image. In this case, increasing it a lot dramatically affects our view. Now we're not even sure that that is a sunset. If you didn't know, you might be forgiven for thinking that's a fire in the distance. So what I'll do is I'll take this back to 0. I'll double click in there and change it from 129 to 0. Another method of doing this, rather than typing in a number or left clicking and dragging the numerical value, is you can reveal these different categories, and there you'll see a slider for every one of those. This one in particular is set at the extreme right at 255, but if I left click on that slider there and drag to the left, decreasing the value, you'll see that our scene becomes much darker. Okay, so that's how those work. I'll undo this again, so I'll edit and undo once more. Now I'll have to do this a few times to go back to the stage we were at before applying all the different effects that we've just applied with that levels effect. Okay, now I think I'm back to where we started. So I'll come back down to the effects panel and I'll close down video effects. And then finally, we'll look at this category at the bottom, Lumetri Lux. Although I have heard some people pronounce this as Lumetri. Anyway, however you do pronounce it, you'll see within here we have many categories. In this case at the top, Cinematic. I'm going to grab one of these. These effectively work like presets. I'll go for this first one, Bleach Bypass number 1. I'll left click and drag it on top of our clip. And then now in the program monitor, the lighting doesn't appear to have changed, but what has changed is we've sort of bleached out all the colours, hence that cinematic preset name of Bleach Bypass. And you'll also notice now up in the effect controls panel, then this effect has now been added within our video effects. If you want to reset this, click on that button there, Reset Effect, and now you'll see all the colour comes back in, effectively negating the effect that we've just added. Anyway, I'll edit and undo once more. So that's how we use video effects and how we access them, and from that point how we can then further develop all the different parameters that are involved with that particular effect.